Wrestling is a sport where you have to learn how to face your fear. You've got to learn to embrace struggle. You've got to welcome the challenge. The number one thing that you battle before a wrestling match is fear. Your heart's pounding, the adrenaline is pumping through your body. And you've got to learn how to really focus. And I think in the wrestling mat, that's really important if you want to be a champion. But I also think that's important in the wrestling match of life. USA Wrestling called me and said, "Would you be an ambassador for Wrestling for Peace?" I said, "That would be incredible. What is it?" They said, "How do we as the wrestling family come alongside those in the wrestling match of life and encourage them to overcome?" Now that sounds amazing.
What life lessons doesn't wrestling teach? I mean, to me, it's a way of life. It teaches you to never give up. Teaches you to go that extra distance, that extra step. You know, once you understand that, you comprehend that it's more than a sport. You'll realize and you'll see what wonders it will do for you as an individual and what wonders it does for society as a group.
So wrestling is the only sport that exists in every single country in the world. And in countries where we don't have embassies, there's no way for us to get to know our supposed enemies except through sports like wrestling. Wrestling diplomacy is an amazing way to address huge gaps in understanding.
The journey of wrestling is really the journey of humankind. If you just look up the definition of the word wrestling, or to wrestle, it's to struggle. And we all struggle. So we all share that, no matter what our differences may be, or what culture we come from, or what ethnicity, or continent, or country, or political affiliation.
You see these people from different countries that you don't think would get along, and they do. Athletes who aren't politicians. Just because those two can't get along when it comes to things like whether it be money, oil, and whatever the heck that anybody else with higher power thinks that they need to be doing, doesn't mean that, us as, athletes can't show respect, peace, tranquility, and love with one another.
I really think that the sport of wrestling is the best sport to represent peace around the world. Wrestling is a tough, grueling, physical, demanding sport, but it's a very humbling sport because they all know what they've had to go through to become a good wrestler.
Places really that have embraced wrestling into their culture tend to be some of those countries that we're afraid of. A lot of times we view people through the lenses of which we hear it, but you start to realize that the individual people, are more than their nationality, are more than their religion, are more than their media portrayal. And what you find out in a sport like wrestling that's so personal and so difficult is you start to see people through the lens of the shared suffering that you have. You know what they've been through. You know the training it takes to get to the level they're at. And you start to create these personifications of people through a much, much more accurate lens when you do it that way.
In society, we look for people's differences. Why do we always have to put our differences aside? Why not focus and capitalize on our similarities? And I think the world would be such a beautiful place.
We want to see wrestling as an opportunity where we can build conversations, talk about bigger things, deeper things, things that last far beyond your wrestling career. Wrestling has opened a door to go to places that most people would say, "I would never dare go there." I tell you, when you're there and you meet the people, your whole perspective changes.